What the nice thing about them is, especially against subcaps, carriers scale very nicely. So if you drop 50 carriers on a subcap fleet, you're pretty much killing everything. Because even if they're sig tanking, and even if they're killing your fighters, you're pumping out upwards of 150,000 DPS, and it would take a very, very large Logi Wing to hold out against that. The kind that you're not going to see in most subcap fleets. The disadvantage is that fighters are very squishy, and it's very easy to do what's called defanging a carrier, which is just killing its fighters until it has nothing left to launch out of its fighter bay, at which point the carrier is just a brick tanked. It's a paperweight in space is what it is. That's all it is. It's a 3 billion-ist paperweight.
Yeah, fighters also can't be repaired. If you've ever tried, they cannot be repaired.
If you recall them to your fighter bay and the fighter hasn't been killed, if it's like in low, like it's been damaged, it will repair in the rearm period. But if it's killed, it's gone. So for different types of fighters, we're going to go right from basics here. You've got light fighters, which is your damage fighters. The racial differences are very similar to what you see with drones. So Mimitar is fast, Galente is slow but the tankiest, things like that. The stats are identical. Typically for
different damage types and damage and values.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, so Mimitar does explosive, Galente does EM, Amara does thermal.
Other way around.
You're right. Amara does EM, Galente does thermal, and kinetic from Kildari.
Yep.
So basically, when you form a cap fleet, the fighter types will be called typically not the racial variants because that's doesn't change very often. You'll either be running in Herges. Most likely be running in Herges. Occasionally, you'll be called to run. What's the Galente? Furbolgs for max damage. If you know you're not going to be burning the fighters very far. Your next type of fighter is your SS fighter, space superiority, and these are the fighters that excel at killing other fighters. Yeah, fighters, drones, and they're actually also very good at killing like Asfrigs and interceptors. They don't really tell you that, but they do apply very well to them. So if you're in a pinch and you're tackled by like a single scepter and you have SS, throwing of SS out and you'll probably make him run away. That's in the situation where you're by yourself. Now the biggest thing is you'll get with carrier engagement, carrier versus carrier, you'll get SS engagements. So the carriers will throw blobs of SS fighters at each other, and eventually one side will run out of SS fighters, and the other side will be able to actually start putting damage fighters out on whatever they happen to be shooting, be it a structure or the carriers themselves. Okay. So SS fighters, the two most common ones are Equites and Grams. We actually prefer Grams right now because they're the fastest. And so if you're in a situation where you're trying to bash a structure and you have to burn your fighters thousands of kilometers away, you want the fastest fighters, which also have the smallest sig. Equites are good as well because they're very tanky, so they'll live slightly longer than any other fighter they're in a fight with.
They also have longer range.
Yeah, yes, they have longer range, but they're also, slower. Not the slowest, but typically, though, yeah, it's either going to be Equites or Grams. The other types of fighters, which you're not really going to see so much in fleet combat, more in like YOLO drops and solo drops and that sort of thing, is utility fighters. Now, the two you really only need to be concerned with for our purposes are Sirens and Dromies. So Sirens are your warp disruption fighters. So it comes in a wing of 3, and they can warp disrupt out to 14 or 16 kilometers, depending if it's T1 or T2 fighters. They come in a wing of 3, so they have a +3 warp disruption strength. But they're, again, very squishy, relatively easy to kill, and they can be jammed off very easily. The other kind is Dromies, which is your webbing fighters. Very good if you're trying to hold down fast shit to let your fighters catch up. You send the Dromies ahead, the Dromies get the webs, and provided they're already tackled or in a bubble or something, then the DPS will eventually land and wreck them. The other two types of fighters, there is energy neutralizing. Is it energy neutralizing and jams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got
not really used much.
No. Your Kildari flavor is your jamming fighters, which are have pretty crappy jam strength. It's like less than a Griffin, so they're not really useful. And you can still target them when you're jammed, so now they're even less useful. And the other one is energy neutralizing, but it's pretty anemic. Not really used much in fleet combat. So, the last set of fighters that you'll see, not today, but in the future, for super carrier pilots is heavy fighters. These come in two flavors. You've got your long-range fighters, which are your anti-subcap fighters. They can hit out subcaps up to about 60 kilometers. Most likely you're going to see Gunneers because they're the fastest. And these basically, they're your anti-subcap fighter for super carriers. They have a lot of, they have ridiculous amounts of damage. Relatively slow lock time though, so if you're trying to kill like Dictors and stuff, you might hurt to try and lock them up. And their utility mid is a micro jump drive, which is kind of garbage. It's difficult to use and it's rather disappointing in its cooldown. But if you absolutely need to move your long-range fighters 100k away from you and have to wait 5 minutes for them to burn back, that's your call. The other kind is short-range or fighter bombers, might also hear them called as. These are your anti-capital fighters. Most common type you'll see used in fleet combat is Cyclops, because they're slow, caps don't move very fast, and they do just ridiculous amounts of damage. Like a wing of Cyclops firing their torps will put a dread into armor most times, a buffer dread. Again, they have the same utility mid as there's a micro warp drive, but they're quite a bit slower than long-range fighters, than light fighters. So you can only really burn them about 130, 140k with your prop mod, whereas short range can burn up to 150 or so k in a single burn. Sorry,
but regular carriers can't use them.
Regular carriers, no. So your regular carriers, your Nidhoggers, Chimeras, you can only use light fighters, and you can use one wing of utility fighters, or you can do 3 wings of SS. So you do 3 wings of damage, 3 wings of SS, up to 1 wing of utility, or any combination of that. Heavy fighters can use 3 wings of heavies, and then they have 2 more fighter bays. They have the option of using any combination of lights, SS, or utility.
So they could do 2 utilities?
Yeah, so they could do like a wing of Sirens, a wing of Dromies, which is actually a very nice combination for damage. What is this mail that just got sent to me? What?
I dropped
that's actually really useful.
I dropped that. I've been collecting info about that.
Okay, that's good to know. I will keep an eye on that. That's very handy. Do you have that on TQ?
Yeah.
Or is it just okay? I might just forward that to me on TQ as well later. He just sent me a little mail that basically has all this in text format, explaining all the fighters, what they do. Bit of a long read, but
I can mail it to the people in fleet.
Okay, that's don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
But if you want to, I mean, it's not a terrible.
No, it's okay.
All right.
I'll mail you in QQ, and you can drop it in our wiki.
Okay. All right. So next we have what have we done? We've done carriers. We'll do the practical mechanics of moving them around when we undock. So last thing we need to talk about with carriers is when you drop. Sorry, Leon, do you want to talk about carriers or start going on to fittings for faxes?
No, you're right, man.
Yep, okay. So when you drop a carrier, if you're using the test buffer fit, the first thing you're going to want to do is broadcast for capacitor. Because what's going to happen is you're going to jump, and obviously if you've used a carrier before, assuming you've used a jump drive before, you're not going to have any capacitor because it drains you down to about 30% capacitor when you drop. So you need to broadcast for capacitor. The triage will start working their way down the list of all the carrier pilots, broadcasting them up to, getting them up to jump capacitor. When you're at 71% capacitor, you hit, you broadcast in position on your broadcast list. In position indicates that you don't need any more capacitor, so the triage can go to someone else and then get them all to jump cap. If you're running the Brave Fit, now like I said, the Brave Fit is much better in smaller engagements when you don't necessarily have dreads and faxes supporting you. So in the Brave Fit, what you're going to do is when you drop, you immediately start cycling your capital capacitor booster. And then you're going to basically get yourself a jump cap, which means we don't have to put the facts into triage right away, which means that everyone can sort of... we have a little bit more breathing or a little bit more time to respond, because the other nice thing about that fit is that you can very quickly jump out if you need to, because no one's in triage, so the minute your red timer is up, you can pretty much jump again.
And we're spooling that capacitor booster without heat, right?
Yes, no, you don't need heat. It's slow time. Like you're going to have a 5-minute cooldown timer when you jump anyways, which is more than enough time to get yourself back up to jump cap, as long as you're remembering to keep your charges cycling and keep your cap booster reloaded. Don't have any issues. So, Liana, are we recording it?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So that pretty much covers everything that's worth talking about with carriers. Everything else you kind of have to be undocked to do it. Okay, last thing I'll mention is fighter loadouts. So depending on the fighter loadouts will be called before you undock. So you want to have a few extra flights ready of each flavor. Mostly just SS and damage. You're 9 times out of 10, your fighter bay will be completely filled with either SS fighters, damage fighters, some combination of them. So for example, for this engagement, I'm going to make the call. We're going to drop with 4 wings of damage, and then the rest is all going to be SS. Now the other nice thing you can do is you can overpack your fighter bays, because you can have a full fighter bay of your full 80,000 cubic meters, whatever you got, plus 3 in the tubes already, ready to go. So if you know that you're going to be using SS the minute you drop, you can have 3 SS out there, drop, put your fighters out. If they start dying, you have a whole new rack of SS to put in. The other thing you got to keep in mind with this is if at any point you need to refit your fighters and you don't have at least one fighter's worth, about 13,000 cubic meters spare in your fighter bay, you will not be able to swap out any of the fighters in your tubes. You'll actually have to drop a set of fighters and abandon them in order to start refitting. And the fighters are all slightly different sizes, so SS fighters don't necessarily take up the same space as short-range fighters, which don't take up the same space as utility fighters. Small light fighters and utility. They're all slightly different sizes. I don't know the exact numbers. You can look them up in the info if you want.
SS are 800, lights are 1,000, and heavies are 2,000.
There you go. But then also the wings are different, because you need 12 SS to make up a single wing of SS. You need 9 to make up a single wing of lights, and 3 to make up a wing of utilities. So that changes how much space. 14,000 spare is comfortable. If you plan on having to reload your fighters after you've dropped. Ideally, though, you'll have the right fighters already in your tubes. You can just drop and go.
What fighters did you say you wanted for this?
So it's going to be 4 wings of damage. So 3 wings of damage plus a spare. Then you're going to have the remainder is going to be all SS. Because we know we're going to get into an SS fight. This is just something that will be told to you ahead of time. If we know we're going to be mainly fighting subcaps or something else, we're going to say, okay, you're going to load 4 wings of SS, the remainder damage, which will be about 6 or so wings of damage fighters.
Oh wait, so were those the orders for right now?
Yes.
4 damage?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I'm letting carrier pilots know now. You're going to be dropping with 4 wings of SS. Sorry, 4 wings of damage, and the remainder of your fighter bay plus your tubes will be preloaded with SS. So you can go ahead and do that now. Will you guys say again? It's going to be 4 wings of damage.
The carriers have 3 wings?
Oh, in your fighter bay.
Your fighter bay. You're going to have SS preloaded. You're going to have 4 wings of damage in your fighter bay, and the remainder fill it with SS.
And you said grams over equits?
Grams, yes. For damage, in Herges.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was going to say, for really big carrier battles, guys, there's usually going to be several hundred kilometers between each blob, and the speed that you can return fighters, if you're not using boosters, is critical. Speed is king, especially in heavy tie-dye. Speed rules everything, and Grams and the Minmatar fighters just have that extra speed, and it can make, when seconds count, they really are the best choice, even though they're slightly weaker. 30, you go.
Which can be made by
Um,
numbers.
Sorry?
I'm just saying, just because they're weaker, just means you need more numbers.
Yes. And that's another thing too, is that's the thing that I like about the test doctrines, is they all run drone navs in their mids, which means that as far as getting fighters back on the front line where the fighter engagement is actually happening, is a lot quicker if the test fits with those drone navs. Alright, so, okay, Liana, I'm gonna start my carry-out. Do you want to take over talking about faxes, or active, passive advantages?
Yep.
Are you still trying to log in?
Dude, I'm stuck out here. I can't do a fucking thing, so...
Sorry, that's really frustrating, actually.
Yep.
Thanks, Obama.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the only difference between our Tech 1 and Tech 2 fits for the Nidhoggers, the fighters.
And
Fighters,
the
FSUs, yeah.
Ah, okay.
Now you got to be careful with the FSUs, is because the Tech 2s, they're marginally more useful to have. I'm not going to say no if you want to buy them. Like, I know some guys that run some really pimped out fighter or fits in their caps, right? Which is fine. It's entirely up to you. But you have to keep in mind fitting costs, because those FSUs do increase your fitting costs by quite a bit, and especially with the Chimera, you will run out of power grid. Certain times, like sometimes with Brave drops, we'll recall to drop one of the FSUs and put a capital newt if we're expecting an enemy dread bomb, and that will be made before you drop. It's something you need to have in your hangar ready to go in station. But normally, what you'll have fit is what you'll have. You know, the only thing that changes ever is utility high. You'll be asked to put, by default, it's usually a smart bomb. Sometimes you'll be asked to put a Sino or some shield boosts or something in there, some command bursts.
Speaking of, what do you want our utility high to be right now?
Right now, utility high will be a smart bomb, but we'll change it as we go. Likely what's going to happen is the faxes we bring in the links. But yeah, for now it's just going to be a smart bomb.
So you said fill up the rest of your fighter bay with grams, but you actually want to leave room to unload.
You can, like, for now, no. For now, we're gonna want maximum number of SS as possible.
Yeah, you are going to lose fighters in this battle, guys.
There's a lot of
fill it
fighters
to the
in.
brim. You are going to lose fighters. Those first tubes that you send out, they are all going to be gone in the first 10 minutes.
If you can use T2 fighters, use them, because they're dirt fucking cheap.
Yeah, under the siege.
There's a question about what's an SS in fleet.
Space superiority.
That's your SS fighters. Yeah, space superiority fighters. Typically, you're going to be flying either grams or equites. In this case, we're flying grams.
So we're doing 3 tubes preloaded with grams, whole thing loaded with grams.
4 damage in cargo, 4 flights of energies in fighter bay. Sorry, and the remainder is. Sorry.
But 2 preloaded with grams, and you have 4 spare damage in your fighter bay.
Yes, 4 flights of damage in fighter bay.
With grams.
Yeah, 4 flights of damage in fighter bay. 3 SS tubes preloaded, and then the remainder is SS.
Energy. And you want energies.
No support.
Energies for damage. No support. Yeah, we don't need drummies or anything like that.
It's important to remember too that if you're gonna need to be swapping out and you're plugging up all your fighters, if you fill your fighter bay right to the max, you won't be able to pull fighters out to swap out what's out. Like one of your wings will have to die to switch them.
Yeah, so that's going to depend on the sort of drop that you're doing. In a really big drop, where there's going to be a lot of them, no, you want to fill that thing to the top, because like I said, you will lose those first tubes of fighters in the first 10 minutes.
So that's giving us 1, 2, 3, 4 backup flights, and then a handful of spares.
36 energies, 52 grams in the fighter bay, and 3 full tubes of grams on top of that.
Yep, so that's 7 tubes of grams, a handful of spares, and 4 wings of damage. That should be good, right, Liana?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so next we're going to talk about faxes. So again, there's two very big, very different scopes of thought on Force Auxiliaries right now, and CCP has gotten to the point. It's gotten to the point where CCP isn't actually nerfing both of these styles of Axis because fuck what the players want, right? Basically, right now, is you have two kinds of triage you'll drop. You'll drop either active triage, which Test refers to quite often as their master race fits. This is just any active Force Auxiliary, either a Lift or a Minnow. The other type is your passive, which is your, basically they'll call it a fleet fit. It is a passive fit Minakawa. It's always a Minakawa because the Minakawa has the best tank. It has the, it has an EHE, so it can tank Bosons, it can tank Doomsday, it can tank all that fun stuff. That's a good point. It's something I actually forgot to mention with carriers. Yes, carriers. Once you have all your refits sorted, you want to take as much space as you have left in your fleet hangar, and you want to fill it with 3200s, regular 3200s. In this case, you can use navies, but normally on TQ you'll be using just Tech 1s because they're, cheaper, and most of the time they're not going to get used. Yes, fuel as well. Thank you. Very good point. If you're using the fits that are being linked in fleet right now, they do not come with fuel. You will have to add your own topes and ozone and shit. So yeah, for faxes, the three fits you're going to see used typically are the active fit Minnow, the active fit Lift, and the passive fit Minakawa. Someone like the master race? There you go. So there's your fleet fit passive, your master race active fit. The active fit is very blingy, which is fine. It works very well at what it does. But you have to be very careful with the fast race Minakawa for your. You have to coordinate your triage cycles because it cannot keep itself capped up for more than one triage cycle. Once you come out of triage, you'll have other faxes that will be in triage and they will be capping you up, as well as doing the repping. So it's very important that you keep an eye on your capacitor. You make sure you're capping up constantly with that fit. It's very cap hungry. Always, all faxes are. You'll have as much space as you can in your fleet hangar devoted to carrying cap boosters, and then just enough left to carry whatever straunt and fuel you can't fit in your fuel bay. Yeah, the Brave fits are very similar, guys. Yeah, that's a buffer fit. I'll put an active Lift as well.
So
there you go. Yeah, there's most of the Doctrine fits right there. Again, you have a utility high. Typically, the faxes, because they get the bonuses, will be running extra shield links. So you'll have, especially if the fax pilots can use Tech 2 links, you'll be running the Tech 2 shield command bursts because they have very nice range, so you'll easily encompass the whole cap fleet and probably most of whatever subcap fights are going on in the field if they're within like 100k or so. In this case, we'll be dropping passive, I believe. Alright. Sorry about that. Oh yeah, they're already in system. Oh.
What's the difference in what's that peasant Minakawa? What's it called that?
It's cheap.
Sorry, what was the question?
Hang on, check Discord, Liana.
Yeah, that's it. Alright, do you just want to... I mean,
yeah,
we're not...
we'll go now.
Alright.
It's fine.
Like I said, I can't get in and can't do anything, dude. It's fucking shit.
Yeah, it's fine. We're gonna want buffer, I think, for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
What implants should we run on carriers?
Alright, guys. So we're actually gonna go now. Is anyone still waiting for fleet invites?
Yeah, my alt's not in corp on the test
Okay,
server yet.
then you just have to let me know the name. Or put something in local or something.
Alexa, Bitchard.
Yeah. So yeah, for the fleet faxes, guys, I'm not going to worry too much about the fax fits right now because we're not expecting any like enemy engagement. So go ahead and fit whatever you want right now. The last thing I'll talk about real quickly is fighter mechanics. We're going to kind of just learn this on the fly. So your big thing when you undock, everyone go ahead and undock right now. All carriers undock now. Faxes can stay docked up for now. So you'll notice right away, especially if you haven't done this yet on CC, is that your fighter bay will actually be where your modules are. And what you got to do is you need to take the fighter bay. You're going to see a little button that looks like a sort of like 4 arrows pointing in every direction, and that will detach the fighters and let you move them around, so you can see both your modules and your fighters at the same time.
That's a few screenshot and fleet.
Sorry?
That's a few screenshot and fleet. That's the button you want to click.
That's the button. So you always want to have the ability to see both your your fighter wings and your modules at the same time. That's a huge one. The other thing you want to be able to see at all times is what you're targeting, because you're going to be, because when you launch your fighters, they'll actually move up out of your fighter base. So you want to make sure that area is clear. You don't want to just put them that right at the top right of your screen there, under where you're, or wherever you happen to have your targeting stuff, because otherwise you're not going to be able to use them. Okay, so what we're going to do, guys, we're going to go out a sec. So at this time, carriers, please check your fighter tubes. Make sure your fighters are full of faxes. Make sure you are your faxes are ready to. Make sure you guys are insured. That's a big one, especially because it's all free on CC, so you might as well be. Okay. I think there may be prize incoming, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Alright, guys. If you're ready to go, let's get all carriers undocked. Faxes, you're staying docked up for now. I'm feeling pretty good about this, guys. Looking at these numbers. Again, faxes you're holding for now. Faxes you're holding for now. Carriers are undocking. And I'm going to sign up very, very shortly. What's up?
Also, if you're not familiar with carriers, if you launch your fighters, you lose your tether.
Yes, that is a very good thing to keep in mind.
Here.
So, you're going to get a Sino in a second.
Can we blow up the super?
1 second.
No.
No, guys. You're about to take a Sino. Alright, Sino is going up in DBT. Sino is going up in DBT. Go ahead and take the Sino now, guys. Everybody jump DBT.
Just carriers, right?
Yes, just carriers for now, guys.
Wait, who's
on
the
land?
Sino? Who's the Sino?
Sino is Aaron Over and DBT, guys. Sino is Aaron Over and DBT. On land. Can I get all carriers to dock up, undock, stop your ships? Oh. Liana, you didn't fix the ACLs in this structure.
What?
I can't dock.
Which structure?
I docked.
I can dock.
I dock.
I can dock.
It's just you, Alex.
It's just me. I am the only one not on the ACLs of this structure. That's nice.
Those of us who aren't technically in Brave are also not able to dock.
That's fine. Alright, guys.
Rec is able to dock.
No, I'm not in any Legacy Corp yet on
I
this
don't know
character.
why I can't dock in the structure, Leon. That's a little weird. Alright, guys. So, go ahead and undock, drop your ships. Now, at this time, please launch your fighters. Drop your SS fighters now that you have preloaded in your tubes. At this, you are going to see that you now have blue circles over your fighters. If you click them, you can click them one at a time, or you can shift-click the whole row. Now, very important, if you click your capacitor in a carrier, you'll see that thing shows up with a little blue circle around it. This tells you what you're controlling with your navigation buttons. If you select the fighters, you're controlling the fighters. If you select the carrier, you're double-clicking in space, you're going to send your carrier around. Very important that when you are moving your fighters for an SS engagement, you are only controlling the fighters. So now what I want you guys to do is I want you to press Q with your fighter selected, and you're going to see a little blue circle come up. That's your fighter navigation menu. You're going to burn them. You're going to select the edge of tether in the direction of the test carrier fleet, right where the edge of the little ring of circles is. You're going to click once, and then it'll give you the elevation. The elevation doesn't matter. It can be relatively close to just right on the edge of tethers where you want to put them. So you're burning them about 50 kilometers away. Now for your SS, you're going to see you have 3 options. Your bottom one, which if you have your SS fighter selected, you hit with the F1 key. And it looks like we're already going. So put your NSAs on, guys. So your middle one is evasive maneuvers. That helps with your the evasiveness, basically, of your fighters. Oh, we're going, guys. All right, we're going. The middle one is your evasiveness. That basically means if your fighter's being primaried, you hit that evasiveness, and they'll be harder to hit. The last one is your scrams. That makes it so that the enemy fighters slow down. It turns off their MWDs, so they become very easy to hit.
Anyone know what the shortcut key is to bring the queue back? Because I've obviously remapped it at some stage.
You have to actually go into shortcuts and change it.
Which is it? Which tab?
It's under navigation, I think.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Something I probably should have mentioned, guys. Fighters are really bad, and they lag the server out like crazy.
We don't have tie-dye yet, so it's fine.
This is true. So as your fighter tubes are dying, you need to be reloading fresh grams and launching them and getting them into the fight.
Oh, I got leg now.
Are they attacking carriers also? Because that's what they do.
Yes. Okay. So can I get a fresh Sino up? Sorry, I already have a Sino up. Can I get on my triage? Take the Sino, please. Triage. Take the Sino. You're going to go ahead and dock up, undock on land. Dock up, undock on land. Can I get on my triage to put a T in? Okay.
Anyone else get kicked?
My game just crashed.
What happened? Encountered an error.
Did we break CC, guys?
Yep.
Yeah, it's busted.
Not me, I'm still killing stuff.
There's a wing of damage.
I'm still on.
There's a wing of damage fighters, guys. Sorry, heavy fighter. I'm gonna go broadcast those guys. Make sure at this point you're capping up. Make sure that your hardeners are running.
Sorry, Shadow, you said if I click on my capacitor, I activate my fighters, right?
No.
Sorry?
With the blue ring?
No, other way around.
No, other way around. So you'll see if you select each fighter, you're going to see a little blue ring pop around that. That tells you what fighters you're actually controlling.
Okay.
If you have a blue ring around your carrier, you will start moving your carrier towards the hostile.
Gotcha, that's why
Yes,
that
and then your carrier will just start orbiting whatever fighter you have selected, which means it'll start slow boating away from the rest.
You can set a key in settings to toggle your ship selection.
Yeah.
Very handy.
So your triage now should be undock and stopping their ships, and there's the dread bomb. All right, guys, recall your fighters. Recall your fighters. Recall your. This is why we brought bombs. Recall your fighters, guys. Reload damaged fighters. Call your fighters and load. Oh, I just crashed.
Yep, crashed.
Yep.
If you've got full bays, you will need to abandon your fighters.
Check. Recall fighters. Faxes, you should be green now. Faxes are going to go into triage. One cycle. Caps, you're going to be broadcasting for reps. If you're currently being yellow boxed and you're in a fax, don't go into triage, obviously. Minnow, are you in trio? No, he's already dead. I didn't die. So again, you're reloading, you're loading damaged fighters, you're getting damaged fighters out. Once your damaged fighters are loaded, primary is going to be this Moros. Primary is going to be this Moros. You're going to shoot Drake in the Moros. If you're in a minnow and you're in triage, you cannot receive remote reps, so you need to be repping yourself as much as you can. Get damaged fighters out, guys. Damaged fighters on Drake in the Moros.
I thought we said we were bringing buffer minnows, but maybe I misheard.
Yes, but if you're not in triage, you can still receive remote reps from the faxes that are in triage. They're going to be primarying faxes first, guys. They're going to be primarying faxes first. So it's very important that if you're in a fax, you're already yellow boxed, red cycle your triage. Hit your EHE when you can. They're just going to spend as much time as possible shooting you. Again, Drake in the Moros is primary, guys. Drake in the Moros is primary.
Ain't nobody broadcast.
None
Make
of
sure
my
you're using your
fucking
missile
hotkeys are set
volleys,
up on
guys. Make sure
CC.
you're using your missile volleys. After that Drake goes down, you're going to be shooting this Naglfar. After the Moros goes down, you're shooting the Naglfar. Make sure you're using your missile volleys, guys. Make sure you're using your missile volleys.
Guys,
Can I still bring my super?
if your ship explodes,
If you want to lose it,
use the /move me command to go back to MTACO, dock up,
and
purchase a
reship.
new one, and jump back to the Sino.
If you have a Dreadnought character, Okay, guys, at this point, because the carriers are right on top of us, if you see that one of your fighters is getting SS'd, if you see you're losing fighters to SS, you're going to be putting your... shoot. That Drake is almost... Sorry, the Drake is almost down. Drake is almost down.
Guys, don't forget to cycle your missiles.
Primary is
Okay,
down.
kill the Nag. Kill Thiessen and the Nag next guy.
Make sure, guys, if you're taking damage, broadcast for shield.
Yeah, nobody is broadcasting.
Faxes are waiting.
They're shooting the faxes. There's no point in broadcasting.
What are you... No, I'm still alive. Don't say that, please.
No, they are primary faxes.
Yeah, I know.
Getting yellow box, don't triage. And broadcast for shields.
Okay, there we go. They're shooting a Nidhogger now, I think. Are they actually?
Like I said, if you lost your ship...
Oh, the Nidhogger died.
Use the /move me command.
Yeah,
Go
you're
and
going to
get
go
another
back
one.
to 3 taco. And if your fighter base, you don't want to hit the recall all. You want to right-click the fighter that's getting primaried by SS, and you just want to recall that to your cargo. Or to your fighter base, sorry. Okay, Thiessen now. You're shooting Thiessen.
What do you want us to do if we get defanged?
Then you dock up. Sorry, fuck. I should have put a note saying that.
Move me back.
Yeah, go to 3 taco.
Move me out.
Keep broadcasting for shield, people.
If your fighters get killed, load new ones.
So you mentioned you want dreads.
Yeah, if you got dreads, I'll take them. I don't.
Do we have a Sino?
Yep, there's a Sino up. If you got dreads, bring them in, guys. Sorry, I thought I mentioned that. Okay, guys, once your damage fighters are out, go back to SS fighters. Are there any more dreads on field? Do we have any enemy dreads?
2 dreads.
I can't see them. Yeah, broadcast them, guys.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Sorry, I can't see the... Oh yeah, there is quite a few, okay.
The Nag is primary. It's dead.
Yeah, go for Thiessen, then go for this Nag, guys. Go for Thiessen, then go for Enru. Again, guys, if you guys reship, you're gonna do the /move me, you're gonna move back to 3 tac M.
Can't
Alright,
progression
M
timer.
taco.
Zero needs shield. Zero's getting primary.
You need targets? Yeah.
Need more SS fighters on the heavy fighters there, Shattered.
Yeah. Drop SS, guys. Drop SS. If you're defanged, go back to SS. If you're defanged, just go back to SS.
Zero's getting primary.
That's fine. What are you flying?
Attack.
Are you in triage?
Nope.
Then the rest of the trio should be getting on you. If they're not, then I don't know what's up.
Yeah, I'm
Looks like they got anti-cap fighters, guys. So if you see anti-cap fighters, broadcast them. If you see anti-cap fighters, start broadcasting them. Should have a fighter tab loaded, guys. Who was the last nag that was primaried?
The next is dead.
Did
Ryu?
we not have enough broadcast?
And Ryu and
Should
Diva
be
alone?
Phoenix.
Yeah, Ryu. I'm not seeing it. No. You shouldn't be shooting Phoenix. You should be doing nags right now, guys. Go for series. What's broadcast? Or what's getting shot right now? Again, if you're in a
I'm sorry,
fucking
not,
cap and you're taking damage, you need to hit your EHE. You need to hit your EHE and broadcast for reps. If you have damaged fighters, you're shooting the last broadcast. Oh, I didn't take the time to unfuck my overview. Okay, damaged fighters on series, SS on whatever fighters are showing up closest to you.
If you're dying, you need to dock and then do the slash move me, reship, and sign back in.
Yep. Actually, you can't do that with an aggression timer, unfortunately.
Well, you have to dock.
With a log off timer.
You can if you dock, so you need to dock right away and then move.
We have a
And
timer.
then jump back in. Yeah, you can.
No, log off timer. Log off timer.
You can't jump when you got
If you have a
your aggression
damage timer, you can't dock. After that's done, you can dock and then move.
Right.
Yep. Don't wait out the yellow the 15-minute timer. Just dock up straight away.
Dock up after your aggression's down.
Yep.
And then you can move.